Welcome, parents, to week 2 of our Ready program. I hope you all have enjoyed last week's activities of fine motor and pre-writing skills. I've really enjoyed the Facebook page. If you've joined that and seen all the activities your children have been doing, it's just awesome. And you parents are doing a great job. Please take ownership in that because it's awesome to see you engage with your children in those activities. I know some of you have expressed some periods of frustration and concern that your child's not able to do something. Your children are where they are, and learning is a progress. It's a progression, and it's not a race, and it's not a competition. So if an activity is difficult for your child, move on to something else. Or if it's difficult for your child and you can find a way, you know best, you know where your child starts and where their learning is beginning. So you can adjust those activities. For instance, I noticed that a parent talked about having their child was having difficulty with the paper tearing. You may find that paper tears easily going from the top to the bottom the long way instead of the short way. So make sure your child is tearing from that long end down to the bottom end. You can even go ahead and tear the strips ahead of time for your child if that's too difficult, and even make little tears or cuts in that strip to give your child a starting place to tear that paper. Anything you can do to modify that activity so that your child is successful, you may go ahead and do that. We want the learning to be fun, not only for them, but for you as well. So I hope you're enjoying those activities. And this week, we are going to step into phonological awareness. Phonological awareness is a term you are going to hear quite frequently when your child starts school, as early as pre-K. Phonological awareness is your child's ability to listen to the sounds that the letters make, not recognizing the letter and its formation, but what sounds letters make. So this is going to be a week of listening with our ears to what sounds the different letters make. And children do this in 3 different ways. We teach it in alliteration, which is that repetition of sounds, very common in tongue twisters. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, hearing that same sound and recognizing that it's the same beginning sound. That's called alliteration. The other 2 is syllable awareness and rhyme. So this syllable awareness is your child's ability to hear a word and break it down into syllables. Why is that important? Further on in their education, when they are reading and writing, syllables break that word into segments. So it helps them with spelling. Apple, apple. So they break that word into segments or syllables, and it helps with their spelling. It will also help with sounding out words. So introducing it now as a 3 and 4-year-old helps your child further on down in their education. Syllable awareness involves at the pre-K level or preschool level a lot of clapping and tapping, and I'll discuss that more as we get into this week's lessons and activities. Rhyming is a little bit more of a difficult challenge for kids, and you may find this really a frustrating week with that, or maybe very easy for your child. It'll be interesting to see how you feel about these activities. Rhyming for the preschool age and pre-K age, we want them to be able to listen to 2 or more words and determine if they rhyme, if they sound the same. For instance, bug, rug, hat. Which 2 rhyme? And we want them to hear that bug and rug rhyme. Hat does not. You may give it to them right now. We're working on 2 words. So you may show your child the picture bug, hat. Do these rhyme? And hopefully they say, no, they do not. How about bug, rug? Do they rhyme? And hopefully they learn to recognize that those do indeed rhyme. Now this is going to take some time, and again, it's a progression. It may be difficult at first, or it may be easy. Wherever your child is and where they're starting, that's fine. We just want them not to get too frustrated. Remember, our goal in this program is to recognize where we challenge our child. We don't want it to be easy for them. We want them to be challenged so they're learning, but we also don't want them to become frustrated or overwhelmed. So challenge your child, but let's not let them get to this point, because then they're not going to want to do the activity. And our goal is to keep them engaged and have fun learning. So syllables and rhyming. Rhyming, not only do we want them to be able to identify pictures that rhyme or words that rhyme by listening to the sound, we also want them to have rhyme production. That's when we say a word and they give us a word that rhymes. What rhymes with bug? Rug. What rhymes with hat? Your child would say bat. This can be a fun game that you can even play in the car while you're driving. You can work on these rhyme productions while you're in the store, while you're driving. You shout at a word, they give you a word that rhymes with it. Again, this is a skill that requires a lot of listening. So you might want to really emphasize the words when you say them. It may seem silly and exaggerated, but the more they can hear that sound difference, the easier it will be for them to hear those rhyming words. So just like last week, we want to include that whole body learning, the total child in our learning. So we encourage you to get on those running shoes, those comfy clothes, because this week we are going to be clapping, we are going to be running, we are going to be jumping, we're going to be all kinds of active things to introduce syllable awareness and rhyme. The first activity on this week's platform is called the rhyme game. Again, I told you this may be a little bit difficult for your child. You are going to find in your collection of things these rhyming cards. Now, if your child has never played memory before, this may not be the place to start. You may want to create a different kind of memory game using just colors. Make a card with red on it and red on another card, and you flip the card over and you find the matches, because this game with rhymes is going to be a little bit more difficult, because we're not looking to match the pictures. We're not even looking to match the words. We're looking to match the way the pictures sound. Cake, rake, recognizing that they sound the same, that they rhyme. So with memory, if you look on your directions on your in your book, your parent resource book, it talks about gluing and doing something with plate. I don't think that's part of it. I haven't had a chance to investigate that yet, but what you want to do is go ahead and find your rhyming cards and cut them apart. I think there's like 10 different sets of rhymes. We have bug, we have rug. Ideally, the way the game is supposed to be played, and the place where you want your child to get to, is you lay all these cards face down, and then you start the game and you turn them over, take turns. Your child can go first. They turn over 2 cards. They tell you what they are. Cake, hat. Do those rhyme? No, they do not. And then you would turn them back over, and you would take a turn, and then they would take a turn until you could find a match. Oh, cake, rake. Do those rhyme? Yes. Then you get to keep that. Now, if that is too difficult, or a starting place you might consider is just take your cards and go through them and talk about words that rhyme. So you would go through each card and go and set them beside. Cake, rake. Cake and rake rhyme. What do you see here? Run. What do you see here? Sun. Run and sun rhyme. And lay those cards next to each other. Go through the cards, the pairs of rhyming words, and put them out for your child to see face up, so they can understand what you're asking them to do. We're looking for words, pictures that rhyme. We're looking for pictures of things that rhyme. So once you've gone through those cards, that might be a better place to start the game, to introduce that concept of things that rhyme. After you've done that, you may start even with just 3 or 3 sets of rhymes. Put out 6 cards or put out 9 cards of rhyming words and let them start making matches that way, so they don't have that skill of memorizing where it is. They just have to work on simple matching rhyming pictures. So that is called rhyme memory game. It's a fun game, and it's a good way to introduce rhyming to your child, part of that phonological awareness. The next activity is called syllable hop. This is an activity that's going to get your child up and moving. You can do syllable hop, you can do syllable jump, and you can even do syllable clap. And clapping might be a good place to start. With syllable hop, you are going to give your child a word, and they are either going to clap the number of syllables they hear, or they're going to jump the number of syllables they hear, or they're going to hop on one foot the number of syllables they hear. Now, when we're introducing syllables and breaking that word into segments, you might want to first introduce that by giving your child a list of words and talking about how we're hearing for the segments in that word, the parts of that word. You can start with your rhyming words and show them the picture cat, hat. How many times do we clap? Once. It has 1 syllable. Repeat that. Use that academic vocabulary. You hear the syllables? It has 1 syllable, 1 clap. Another technique that they do in the classroom is they put the hand under the chin and you say a word, pumpkin. How many times does your chin touch your hand? Let's count. Pumpkin. 2 times. That means pumpkin has 2 syllables. Let's clap that word. Pumpkin. So we're going to use, you can use that method. You can use the clapping method. And I've even seen it in classrooms where they count it on their cheek. Pumpkin. How many syllables? 2. Macaroni. How many syllables? 4. So there are different ways to count the number of syllables in a word. So with syllable hop, you're going to generate a list of words on your own. We don't have anything written down for you of words with 1, 2, 3, and if your child's ready, even 4 syllables. They can be the words from the rhyming cards. They can be the names in your family. That's a fun one. Kaylee, mommy, dad, brother, any kind of familiar words that of people in their family. It can be favorite foods. Spaghetti. How many syllables? Hop that out. So just generate a list of words and then give them to your child, and then they will jump each word as you say them. Put them out in the middle of the yard, put them in the middle of the room where you have space, and hop it, clap it, jump it, get some of that energy out. That is syllable hop. The next activity is called rhyming ruckus. This activity gives your child an opportunity to match words that rhyme. You're going to take your rhyming cards and you're going to split them into 2 different piles. The rhyming pairs are going to be in separate piles. So pig would go in one pile, twig would go in another pile. Again, sorting the rhyming words, hen in one pile, hen in the other pile, until you have 2 different piles with the rhyming pairs in each. You're going to take one pile and you're going to put it around the room, face up, so they can see the picture of that rhyming word you're going to be looking for. So put them on the floor around the room, enough space between them, but not too far apart, so the child can, view all of them from their line of view from where they're standing. Then you're going to give the child, with the other pile, you're going to show them a picture and ask them, what do you see? And they'll tell you, I see hat. I see a hat. And again, encourage those big sentences. I mean, really, you are a model for your child, a language model. So we don't want them to say, see hat. Encourage them to say, I see a hat too. Model what you want them to say. By now, your child at age 3 and 4 should be using at least 3 and 4 word sentences. So we want to really expand on that. And the best way to do that is to model language for your child. So you say, what do you see? Encourage them to say, I see a hat. What rhymes with hat? Can you find a picture that rhymes with hat? I want you to fly like a bird to the word that rhymes with hat. So the child is going to fly like a bird to the word that rhymes with hat. Pick it up and bring it back to you. You'll go to the next picture. What do you see? Encourage them. I see a log. What rhymes with log? Can you crawl like a snake to get to the word that rhymes with log? And again, they'll survey the room with the pictures face up and find that rhyming word. This is a fun activity, gets them moving. Now, on the flip side, we want them to use their language for you to play the game. So you will encourage them, okay, now mommy or daddy or grandma, whoever's going to find the rhyming words, tell me what to do. Now your child is in charge of holding up a picture. Mommy, what do you see? I see a dog. Can you fly like a bird to the word that rhymes with dog? So now they get to be the teacher and you get to move to the rhyming word. It's a real fun activity. You can involve the whole family. You can create your own words that rhyme. That's a good activity for the older siblings to make a list of words that rhyme, draw some pictures, create some new rhyming words, and then rhyming ruckus to those words about the room. Fun activity. Have fun moving and crawling like all different kinds of animals. Come up with your own. It's a great activity. The next activity is called Syllable Number Run. This activity is best played outside where you really have some room to run, but it can be played inside if the weather isn't cooperative. This activity is going to require you to write the numbers 1, 2, and 3 on a card and then put it out either on the ground or on a cone if you have one, on the fence if you want to put it there. Just place it where it's visible. The numbers are visible, 1, 2, and 3. Now what your child is going to do, you have them, and again, this can be the entire family playing, but whoever turn it is, they stand, and then you stand in the middle, and then you give them a word, such as monkey. They are to listen to that. They can clap it first. They can touch it out. They can jump it out. They can think about it in their head. Monkey. How many syllables? Monkey. And then they are to run to the number card that shows that number of syllables. It has to. Now we're learning our numbers and recognizing numbers 1, 2, and 3. It has 2. Run to the number 2. They run it, they touch it, and come back. They can, if you want to use have these on cards, you can run the card to the right number. If you can generate some cards that have a different variety of syllables on them, that would be fun too. So this is called syllable run. Then they'll come back and it can be someone else's turn or they can go again. You can do something other than running. Hop to this word. Spaghetti, 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 spaghetti. It has 3. Run to number 3. They run to number 3 and come back. Again, we're listening to how many syllables are in the word that you produce. And then they run to that number that represents that number of syllables. This is really, we think, why are we, like I said, why are we doing some of these activities? That word syllable, how often is my child as a 3-year-old or 4-year-old going to use the word syllable? Once they get into school and they are learning to read and they're learning to spell, sounding out words, writing words and sounding them out, all involve that syllable awareness. So enjoy syllable run and burn up some of that energy. The next activity this week is called color song. You will find this color song chart in your book of things, your bag of things, and I want you to go ahead and put it in this protective cover. This is not laminated, so we want to keep it protected because eventually in some of our extensions, we can even use our dry erase marker and write on this outside and it won't damage the card itself. In addition to the color song chart, you are going to make some pipe cleaner glasses. You have some pipe cleaners in your bag of things. Now you can do a pipe cleaner magnifying glass, or you can actually try and make some pipe cleaner glasses. These were kind of tricky even for me to make, I guess because I have a adult size head, but go ahead and make your pipe cleaner magnifying glass or letter word finder or pipe cleaner glasses. This will make this activity extra engaging. So the color song, what we have on here is we have a simple color poem or song. And as you can see right here, it has all the colors. And this is a nifty way that we in pre-K introduce some words, especially color words, by writing them in the color that the word represents. So the word orange is written in orange. The word yellow, of course, is written in yellow. Green, brown, purple, blue, black, and red. You're going to read this, and this week our emphasis is using our special glasses to identifying the different words we see and pointing to each word as we read it. Orange is a carrot. We've got our picture clues over here to help the child predict what that word might be. Once they start saying, oh, I get this, this is a color. The next one is a color too. Yellow is a pear. That word is pear. What word do you think this is? You're right, green. Green is the grass. And brown is a bear. So when we're first reading this week, we're going to touch the words as we say them, that one-to-one correspondence. As we continue this activity this week, if you want to do it again, you can discuss the color words. What color words do you see? Yes, that spells orange. Can you find the word that spells blue? Very good. That word is blue. What is blue in this poem? Yes, the sky is blue. There's all kinds of higher level thinking skills you can do with this as well. Not only is orange is a carrot, you can change this up. What else is orange? Orange is a pumpkin. Yellow is the sun. Very good. Be creative. Help that child use their imagination and their higher level critical thinking skills to think of other things that are green, brown, purple that we could use instead of these words. So there's all kinds of different extension activities. You be creative. You know where your child best. You know what they enjoy doing. You know that they're really into color words. Let's do the color words. They're really into rhyming. Maybe we'll do rhyming words. You know, orange is a carrot. Yellow is a pear. Green is the grass. And brown is a bear. Pear and bear rhyme. So all kinds of different activities. Again, don't forget your pipe cleaner word finder. Let's find the color words. Let's find rhyming words. Pear, bear. This is the easy way out. Make the little magnifying glass, or you can try and make the glasses. The color song. Our repeat activity this week is fine motor fun. again, I've enjoyed watching on our Facebook group page the progress your children are making with this activity. One side is a little bit more difficult than the other. Now, if this is difficult for your child, that's okay. That's where they are, and we don't want it to be frustrating. If this is too difficult, go ahead and make some straight lines on the paper and have your child again work right to left, just as they would if they were reading or writing, and follow some straight lines. And just add maybe one big curve. It's okay if they can't do this successfully right now. This is a progress activity. We want to see progress. We don't want to see frustration. So we start with the easy, and then we challenge our children and get a little bit harder. Again, if this is too easy for your child, make some of your own. Make them with a tighter circle or smaller little waves, and make it more challenging for your child. Again, when we talk about using that writing instrument, make sure we're progressing to that tripod grasp. That's where we want your child to end up, that good writing formation, holding their pencil. We talked about putting something in their hand to keep those two fingers down and using those 3 tripod grasp on that pencil. We really want to work away from this full grip. We might go to one like this. We might want to go to this, but eventually we want to use that tripod grasp on the pencil. Another thing I saw is we need to work on being this high up on the pencil, down to closer to the end. This gives your child more control over that pen. The other thing we need to be considerate of is where that forearm is on our writing surface. That gives that child better control over our writing utensil. So if you can, find a workplace for your child. We haven't talked about this yet, but if we're going to be doing activities, you want to set an area in your room. It can be a quiet place in a bedroom. It can be at the kitchen table, someplace that you're going to typically be doing these activities. Now, if it's one of these active movement ones, you're going to take it outside, and you can even take these activities outside. But keep in mind, when you're doing some of these fine motor activities, they need a nice hard surface to work. And if you're going to be doing it on the floor, that's great. Do it on the floor, but have them lay down. That gives your child a place to rest that arm, because otherwise they're going to be like this, and they're not going to have that control over their writing hand, and they're going to start to develop bad habits of how to hold that writing utensil. So we want to make sure their workplace is suitable for what we're asking them to do. So keep in mind when you're doing our tracing lines to make sure they have a surface where it's best suitable for the writing we want from them and that skill we're trying to develop. Again, the writing fine motor fun will be repeated this week as well. The last activity we're doing this week on your learning platform is the old monster. Feed the monster. I still haven't decorated mine. My poor monster. He's blind. He can't see. He has no eyeballs. So we have our monster. It looks like the kids are your children are really enjoying this activity, feeding the monster. Again, some of them may still be using that whole hand to try and open up that monster, and they may be down here on the table, where they have some support for their arms so they can squeeze it harder. But we want to get to where they move from the whole hand to actually just using those writing fingers. Good activity to strengthen that hand, and they will get tired and they can switch hands. That's fine. My right hand is so much stronger than my left. So that's okay. This is a good activity to do that, trying that other hand to feed the monster, because you're going to be using the opposite hand to feed the monster. So again, we have our pom-poms that you can use this week. We have some pony beads in there. You can feed the monster pennies, whatever you have around the house that your child can pick up, and these little pincher fingers, and put them in. An extension activity, like we talked about a little bit last week, is you can have them just put in the red pom-poms. Can you put in 5 pom-poms? Doesn't matter the color. You can involve some counting activities. You might even want to start with those students that are ready, your children that are ready to do letters, and get out those magnetic letters and have them feed those to the monster. Can you find the letter P? Can you find the lowercase b and feed it to the monster? Maybe you can even get out letters that are in your child's name and work on that. Just work on letters that are in your child's name. Can you feed the monster the letter M? M starts your name. It's the first letter of your name. It's uppercase. All that academic vocabulary, very important. So this is while it seems like a simple activity that just involves fine motor and pre-writing, it's a great skill for math. It can be used for letter recognition. So use your imagination and just go with it. We trust you, parents. You are your child's natural teacher, and you know your child better than anybody. And from what I've seen this past week, you all are doing a great, great job. And I appreciate that feedback and using that Facebook page to ask questions. And parents, if you have an idea that has worked and you've been successful with your child, go ahead and post that. Hey, this worked for me. My child was frustrated, or I tried this activity. We encourage feedback between yourselves. We encourage you to ask questions. Anything that you have concerns with, you can talk to me after class. We're here, Mrs. Passarella and I are here to help you keep your child engaged and become great teachers. So that's our monster. Last week, we talked about the whole child and what that looks like. We talked about our cognitive development and our language development. And we talked about fine motor and gross motor development. And we also talked about social emotional development. We are going to touch on that a little bit each week. This week, our social development point is going to be helping. What is it to be a helper? How do we ask for help? Being a helper is a big, big thing for a young child. It really develops their self-concept and their self-esteem to be recognized as someone in your household who can be a helper. It makes them feel big. It really does. So one way we can do this is to be very intentional about asking our child to be a helper. Now, we often forget that how easy that can be. You can walk into a room, and I've done this myself, and it's a mess. You say, you need to clean up. This is a mess. Or you can walk into the room and say, oh my goodness, can you please be a helper and help me clean this mess up? The minute you say helper, and it's encouraging to a child, and they say, what, of course I'll be your helper. And then they want to do things for you, and they feel good about doing it. It's all in how we use language and make it intentional that our child learns to become a helper. When we transition into a classroom, there's going to be all kinds of opportunities for your child to be a helper. And if they understand what that looks like and they feel better about doing it, then they have less anxiety going into the classroom. So making it intentional at home for your child to be a helper is really important. It can be simple chores around the house, but instead of calling them chores and expectations, which you want your child to have expectations, you expect them to behave in a certain way and help in a certain manner, but presenting it to them as being a helper and letting them know how much you appreciate their help. It can be as simple as setting the table. If they can put just the spoons on, how many spoons do we need? Make it a learning activity. Count out 5 spoons. There's 5 of us tonight, and they can help set the table. They can help fold laundry. They can help sort socks. There's all kinds of activities you can give in and around the home that helps teaches your child how to be a helper, and it makes your life easier too. So be intentional and use those words helper with your child so they can have some ownership over the activity they are doing, and it develops their self-esteem. Another thing I want to talk about is praising your child. We can use words like, great job or super, thank you for helping me. But I want to talk about something called progress praise. Progress praise is recognizing what your child is doing while they're in the progression of doing it. For example, with the Terra Art rainbow, we can say, great job. Your rainbow is beautiful. That's awesome. I mean, that works too. Or progress praise, you would say, I like the way you're tearing that paper with both of your fingers, versus great job tearing. You're talking about the specific progress that your child is doing. I like the way that you listened with your ears for those rhyming words. You're doing a great job listening with your ears instead of great job with rhyming. Be specific about what you're praising. That gives your child a clue as to what to cue into and what they're doing correctly. If you're specific about the praise that you're giving and you praise the progress they're making instead of just the end result. So progress praise is also an important thing to be working on with your child. I'm going to tell you, you all are doing a marvelous job. I so enjoyed meeting that first group, and I look forward to meeting my students, both in Alvin and in Manville, seeing you parents and getting to know you. This is just a really neat program. I'm so happy to be a part of it, and I look forward to next week. You'll have fun, get a lot of energy out. We'll see you next time.